Here we are on Monday in the rain again. Mike, will you lead us in our invocation, please?
Now, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer so grateful for all the blessings that you give us, for your love, for your Son. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us this day of our lives. Help us live lives that's pleasing to you. We ask your blessings on this organization as we strive to put service before self. We also ask you to be with this country, bless this country, in all things. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. And Courtney is going to introduce our guests today.
Guest today, one, Mr. Clay White, right here. He found it because his son was actually a global scholar of ours, and so now he's been at Tyler for 30 years, and he's looking at joining us. We're excited to have him today. Tara, just wait. She's a guest, and Andrea Horton. And then Bonnie up here, just wait, she's my guest again. She's looking at joining the fun. And then Cole Peter, guest of the class.
And we also have a visiting Rotarian with us sitting in the back of the room, David Jones.
Hey, David. David, keep talking. He's working on that blizzard here. Bigger, better things. Just a quick sports moment. First of all, I'd like to welcome Colin and talking to him about coming to visit with us for a while. He's married, has 2 kids. Within the last 2 years, he's opened his own Allstate agency. He's not an insurance lifer, worked for one of the things, Tyler Jett one time, way back in the day. So anyway, good dude. Y'all be nice to him today, okay? I don't know how many golf fans we have in the building, but you hit one, we struck a blow for old guys everywhere. 50-year-old Phil Mickelson won the PGA Championship yesterday at Key, Ohio, South Carolina. Phil has won 6 majors. He and Tiger Woods made each other a whole lot of money as rivals over the last 20 plus years. And Mickelson's incredible. He's so talented, but he's also so rich that he doesn't really have to do this on a regular basis. So he can go years without playing very well in these tournaments, and then he's so darn talented that every once in a while he just jumps up and wins it. And that's what he did yesterday. He's the oldest major champion in history. So pretty incredible stuff. The NBA playoffs opened over the weekend. The Dallas Mavericks won their first game. The Rangers swept the Houston Astros. They're also a young team. They're kind of inconsistent, kind of fun to watch. They lost 9 out of 10. And then they come home and beat the Astros 3 in a row, so go figure. And I haven't done this the last 3 weeks, but when the NBA draft, the NFL draft was a month ago this week, a month ago this Thursday. And then the day after the draft ended, the Cowboys signed several undrafted free agents. And those guys will all go to training camp with them. They have a great history of that. Tony Romo was never drafted. Drew Pearson and Cliff Harris went undrafted, and those guys are both going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer in July. So they have a great tradition of undrafted free agents. One of the 13 kids they signed is a local kid, Brian Jones, a kid who played football, big lineman at John Tyler High School. And he's a center in the guard, played at the University of Houston. He was also one of our KTPB Scholastic All-Stars. He was the valedictorian of the 2016 John Tyler class at Tyler High. And again, he was one of our KTPB Scholastic All-Stars, so I guess indirectly, even though we don't assign him specifically to any one funding, but he is either, we can either say he was a Kyle Lake Foundation scholarship winner, or he was the Rotary Club, Southtown Rotary Club, the money that you guys have been generously given to our KTPB Scholastic All-Stars. He was one of them in 2016. Well, knock on wood, he has a chance to play for the Cowboys, which would be really, really cool.
I think you can just bring it up here, Bill. Okay. Thank you so much, Bill. And I did also want to recognize we have another visiting Rotarian, Andrea Horton. She is with Champions for Children, and she is also a member of the Tyler Rotary Club. So, and she brought a guest with her today, so that's exciting for us. Beth, do you want to come on up and make any announcements regarding the wrap-up of the spaghetti supper? While she's on her way up, as you see, we have the great Carter Blood Care Mobile going on outside, so if you're not signed up, you're still welcome to donate. Regardless of if you donate today for our drive, please consider a donation. It's really important because this time of year, they typically see a decline in the number of donations. So I'm going to ask Beth to come up and talk to us about spaghetti supper.
If you participated here at First Christian Church on Thursday with our spaghetti supper, would you please stand up? Round of applause for this group, please. And I just want to personally say thank you so much. It was a very, very different event, but I think we all had a lot of fun. We served the community. We still have money coming in, so I'm not even going to offer a tally on that yet because we don't have it. But we did have some great conversation about maybe next year's event could be a hybrid of what we did this time, where we get to have our possibly a lunch and a dinner, and in between we can still serve our community. So I just want to say thanks to y'all. I did nothing spaghetti all weekend long, so, but thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I thank y'all for bringing dish towels. We got enough dish towels, that there are lots in that storage room. We've got enough for next year, so thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
I just really want to commend Beth and the committee for all of their hard work. I mean, this was a complete 180 from what we traditionally do with the spaghetti supper. And it was just having to come up with something completely different so that we could continue to provide this wonderful resource to our community. She expanded it with the ability to take the meals to other places. I know that Courtney got a text from one of our Meals on Wheels folks thanking her for our delivery and how good the food was. So kudos to Brad and his cooking team on getting all of those spaghetti meals made. A couple of other quick announcements. Jeff Cummings is here today. We're looking at trying to get one more social activity in between now and the end of this Rotary year, which is the end of June. Excuse me. So if you are interested in hosting, Jeff, you want to just say a few words?
So we, the first one we had, Chris posted down in Next Home, and basically just opened up his office and had a few cookies and adult beverages if you wanted. It's not required, but last time we had it out at Tree Vine, which was a pretty easy, convenient thing to start up. But if you want to host, get with me or Diane, and we'll be happy to get in touch with you. We usually do it from like 4 to 6 or something like that, so just a couple hours. But if you're interested in hosting, let me know. It's a good way to bring a captive audience to your business.
Thank you, Jeff. Jared, do you have any announcements about the nominations that we're accepting?
Well, just if anybody has any last minute nominations, go ahead and log on. I think there's a link on the newsletter you can click on to get to the nomination form. Again, we're looking for nominations in 4 categories: community service or volunteer, first responder, healthcare volunteer worker, and educator. So if you know somebody in the community worthy of being nominated for a year-end award, get on there and make that nomination. We're going to meet probably after this meeting and start talking about the nominations we've got so far. So make sure y'all get those in.
And the deadline for that is tomorrow evening. So if you have anything you'd like to get turned in, please get those turned in right away. And that's a perfect segue to the next announcement I have. June 28th is the last meeting of this Rotary year. I'm a little sad about that. I'm a little happy about that at the same time. We'll be installing Beth as president. We'll be wrapping up this year, and then we'll also be giving out these community awards that Jared was just speaking about. Sometime this week, you're going to get an email that has a Survey Monkey link that says, are you going to attend? Yes or no? Your name and how many people you might be bringing, because we got to get a head count. We're going to be having traditional catered food at that point. Carol had to leave already, but she says starting next meeting, we will go back to having catered food instead of box lunches. So I hope everybody's excited about that. And Beth didn't say it, I know she's out giving blood at this point, but we still are accepting donations from everybody for our spaghetti supper, just because the event was last week doesn't mean that we are done accepting money. We highly encourage everybody in our Rotary Club to donate, make a personal donation at whatever level you're comfortable doing. I will say, not to call people out, I think as of yesterday, there was only about 20 out of 86 Rotarians who made donations. So just keep that in mind. You can mail in your payment, or you can see that with the credit card machine. Any announcements from the floor? Tyler?
I want to remind you all, there will be no Rotary Club meeting next Monday because it's a holiday.
Correct. We will not be meeting next Monday for the observance of the Memorial Day holiday. Any other announcements? I'm going to call up Lee Montgomery, and I'm going to do this because I know that Tom's watching, the better looking Tom DeWitt, to come up and talk to us a little bit about the Rotary Foundation and to also introduce our guest speaker. Lee.
Thank you, Diane. I'd like to also put in a kudo for Beth and the spaghetti dinner. We had great TV coverage. All three stations were there. I thought that was super. And I'd like to take a minute and make a recognition. Will all the veterans please stand up? Thank you. And it sounds a little trivial to me, so let me put some emphasis on it. Thank you for your service. My Tom DeWitt moment. Sorry, Tom. He asked me to be available for anyone that would like to make a contribution to the Paul Harris Fellow campaign, the Matching Points campaign that we have now. It's going to end June 1st, I think, and I think that's the planned date. But so I pulled the current report just so I could be accurate if anybody had questions. And I noted that 12 of our members are within spitting distance, if you're from Texas, spitting distance of their next Paul Harris level. And so what I found was that, and I'm kind of a numbers geek too, $53 to $250 with matching points will get you over the next level. So if you will fall somewhere between that range, between $53 and $250. Okay, I'd like to just let you know, without giving numbers away, that Colleen Colby is this close. Now, you were this close to the next level. Now, one disclaimer. Rotary takes a while to get the contributions annotated to the records. If you have already made contributions and gotten the matching points, I know Tom DeWitt has got it in the works, but as of the report that I pulled today, this is where we stand. So Colleen Colby is really close. Dalton Dickerson, Brad Hall, Claude Henry, Stephen Morlander, Chris Johnston, Diane Kavanaugh, Nan Moore, real close Nan, David Roberts, Tom Seal, Dave Sherman, and Bob Westbrook. So y'all are really close. You might want to take advantage of the matching points program.
I do know a lot of those folks have already participated.
Have participated, so we're just catching up on the reports. Okay. Our speaker today is a good friend of mine. He has a special place in my heart in Rotary because, well, you've been in parades where they have floats and animals, and we've had horses. I don't think we've had elephants in our Christmas parade, but Ted's kind of like a guy in a parade. Tom DeWitt was district governor in 15, 16. I had the honor of serving in 16, 17. And bringing up the rear, scooping up after Tom and I was Ted Huffines. So please welcome Ted Huffines as he gives us a magic show on the Rotary Foundation.
There was a lot of scooping to do, I'll tell you about that. I certainly appreciate Lee, one of my dear friends, Rotary, and even outside of it, certainly it's Rotary that brought us together. I have learned a great deal from him. We have shared a lot of experiences together, and I commend him. Before I start, I would also want to echo my strong appreciation and friendship with Tom DeWitt. I'll reference him a little bit in this program today, but we've run a matching points campaign the last 2 years. Tom has eagerly said, I will handle the logistics of that, and has done an absolute fantastic job. Because of his efforts last year, 1920, our district, District 5830, was the #1 per capita giving district in our zone. So out of 17 districts, and we're on the smaller end for sure, but we led all of those districts in per capita giving at about $144 per person. On top of that, we were also the #1 polio district in giving. We gave a little over $100,000 in polio, and that certainly comes from the members, the clubs, of which South Tyler is one of our leading clubs. I think you know that. I certainly appreciate the work that you do, both here and so many other aspects, but you know, it takes somebody to pull it all together. I'm the district foundation chair, but sometimes the logistics, I could probably do it. I'm glad Tom chose to do it. And, so I appreciate him immensely. Today's program, I must give a little bit of a precursor. Diane said, hey, you come get the matching program. I've heard this is really good. And it is a good program. I started it almost 2 years ago, and I've probably given it a dozen. But I looked at my records. I think the last time I gave it was in January of 2020. So that was right before COVID hit. It was at the end of January. It was in Pittsburgh, Texas. And I got to thinking, well, that's good. And so, you know, I started reviewing it. The other part to that is Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation have changed their funding model. And I know we have a number of visitors. We probably have some Rotarians who've only been in Rotary for a few years, and we probably have some Rotarians who've been in Rotary a long time that don't really know about the foundation. You're not alone. But I say all that because of the new funding model, the numbers are going to be a little wonky, and I'll try to explain that to you. So, with that, I'll see if I can get by with this. It won't squeal.
Red button up at the top.
That. There we go. Fine. So, how many of you have ever watched the foundation program before? Oh, good, we got it great. Okay, some have, great. Generally, people will get up, they'll have a PowerPoint or slides of something. They'll have arrows and graphs and all kind of with lots of numbers that go around. And at the end, quite often the response is, I still don't understand how the Rotary Foundation works. I will confess, I've been in Rotary almost 14 years, and probably for the first 4 or 5 of that, I would fall right into that camp. I would listen to people talk about it, and I'm going, I still don't get it. And so I think that can be frustrating. I think it can be confusing, and it makes people wonder, what are they really doing? And so hopefully today's program will eliminate that. I will not be using a PowerPoint. You don't see any of that. I will do it all visual. And hopefully when you leave out of here, you say, okay, now I kind of get an idea how it works, and also potentially maybe have a little inspiration about it. So that's where I like to start. First off, our district is District 5830. I mentioned that. We've got clubs that cover Northeast Texas, Southeast Oklahoma, as well as, everybody hear me fine? If David can hear me, I know I'm good. And just a little smidge of Arkansas, if you take account of Arkansas, it includes that. Rotary International is in Evanston. Evanston is a suburb in the northern part of Chicago. If you've ever been there, it's a beautiful city. Northwestern University is there. The RI headquarters and all that's there. If you go up to the top of the RI headquarters, you can look out and you can see Lake Michigan, and you can see Northwestern University. Beautiful place. Anyway, and as you look at this, you think, okay, there's our district, there's the Rotary Foundation. How does it all jive together? I'm not really a math person, and I'm here today to tell you that it's not the math, it's the magic. So that's where the name comes from. So let's start out. See if I can get my boxes in the right order. All right. Yep. All right. My club, I'm in Marshall. We have 50, 55 members. We're an E-Ray club. What does E-Ray stand for? Anybody besides Lee? Anybody know?
Come on.
Every Rotarian every year.
Every Rotarian every year. That means everybody in that Rotary Club either gave or was credited with giving at least $25. Okay? You've got 80-something members. You multiply that by $25 per person, you kind of get an idea of what that is. Our club is an E-Ray club. You also have sustaining members and sustaining clubs. What is sustaining? What is a sustaining member of the Rotary Foundation? Anybody know?
$100.
$100 per person. Okay, and that could either be out of your wallet, it could be credited from fundraising, just like your spaghetti supper. Your club gives it, and they give everybody credit. Variety of ways to do that. So you've got both of that. Our club is a sustaining club, so we've got that. You also have Paul Harris Society members. What's a Paul Harris Society member? $1,000 a year. It's somebody who understands what the foundation is doing and believes in it enough to say that I'm going to give $1,000 a year. You're sitting there going, that's a lot of money. You know, I don't have that. Think about it. That's $85 a month. So it's $20-something a week. If you work 5 days a week, it's about $4 a day, maybe 4 and 4. That's a coffee at the coffee shop with maybe put a donut on top. So when you think about it in those terms, it's a little different. So it's doable. There are actually clubs that have everybody in their club. They're usually not very big, but they're clubs that have everybody as a Paul Harris Society member. But it's people who commit to do that year in and year out. And so you do that. Our club has 4 Paul Harris Society members. We're a sustaining club. We're an E-Ray club. All that combined, we'll give anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a year to the foundation. Your club is right in that same part. But when you look at the Marshall Club, Henderson, Carthage, Jefferson, throw Pittsburgh in there, all of those clubs together be about $50,000 in that little segment. Well, then you move a little further west. You go to Longview. You've got Longview, which is a big club. Gregton, which is a large-sized club. You've got Kilgore, which is a very generous club. Throw in Longview Midtown, Gilmer, Blakewater. You do all of them, and you'll get about another $50,000. Okay? Then you go a little further west. You come here. You've got South Tyler, Tyler Sunrise, Tyler Rotary Club, Bullard, Lindale. Throw in some of the other little ones. Pile it all together. Their generosity, and you come up with another $50,000. This is on a general use. Then you come and you go up to the north part of the district, Texarkana. You've got Texarkana International, Wilbur Smith, which is a very, very large club, West Bowie County,
Texarkana Sunrise.
Sunrise, you can throw in there Paris, Sulphur Springs, the clubs up in Oklahoma. We've got 3 clubs up there. All told, you've got that. On a general year, our district is in the ballpark of giving about $200,000 to the annual fund, okay? So how does it work from there? Well, all this money goes over here. So all this money that you're giving, getting matching points and all that good stuff, every year goes, and I'll add this, just had a conversation with Tom today. We're gonna extend the matching points campaign. So if you're waiting on your next paycheck, which is fine, it's gonna go through June 20th.
Okay.
So that would be helpful, okay? So that money goes off to Rotary International, Rotary Foundation, okay? All right, foundation sits there, and it sits there for 3 years. And then after that, we get what happens, the Rotary Foundation trustees manage that money. Now, they certainly have professional money managers, investors that monitor all that and keep it all that. But 3 years later, half of that comes back to the district, okay? And it comes back in 2 forms. It's money that we get to decide. And when I say we, certainly the district governor, right now it's Jack Rogie over in Longview. July 1, it'll be Mike Groom from Cedar Creek Lake. Lee's done it, Tom's done it, I've done it. And we have 50% of that money that we have the opportunity to lead, okay? The other remains at Evanston, and I need to clarify so that there's not a misunderstanding. They don't send us half that, they don't send us $100,000. It's all on an account, and we draw on it, okay? And they do that for all the districts and all
But you still have to apply?
the, and I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Yes, you are right on track. So we get all of this, all right? So the trustees control the World Fund dollars. We control the district grants and global grant portions of the district designated funds, or DDF. So you're getting all these Rotary acronyms right now. You've got TRF, which is what? The Rotary Foundation. You've got DDF, which is district designated funds, okay? You've got district grants, and you've got global grants, all right? So let's begin and let's start looking at how the magic starts. Now, I'm a humble person, so I'm going to make it. I get a laugh to it. All right? When you think of district grants, first off, if I can make sure I got all this right. In our district, they're club project grants, okay? So we've got a club, in our case right now, that has 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, excuse me, they gave $20,000. These are $5,000 a piece. Don't go up there shaking them out, please. Okay. That they gave 3 years ago. Okay? So that's their investment in TRF. They're gonna apply for a club project grant, and their first club project grant they want to do is to provide health supplies and materials to low-income pregnant women. There's actually a club in our district that did that. Who is it? No. Some of you know that, some of you don't. That's great. Okay? It's a $10,000 project. So you came, you put $5,000 in cash, and you matched. Okay? Why? Because you had, what's 25% of 20,000? 5,000, right? Banker back there that's nodding his head yes, so I know I'm right. Okay? So right now you've done one project. You invested $20,000 3 years ago. You put $5,000 in, and you've done a $10,000 project. And now these pregnant women are being assisted through the processes that you put in place to do that. Okay, so that's the first project. Right now you're a little bit.
That's 30,000.
I'm sorry?
If we had done 30,000.
You're jumping ahead of me every step.
Figures would be different.
Right.
That's where I'm going. Project number 2, can we do bigger?
Yes.
Yes, we can do bigger ones, okay? Can you do a bigger project? Yes, those are called what?
Global grant.
Global grants. They have to be a minimum of $30,000. And if you do a $30,000 project, you can get a match from TRF or Rotary Foundation. All right, very good. So we're going to do project number 2. All right, project number 2. The global grant, I'm just going to give this a little verbiage because this is where the change happened. The global grant funding model is changing for 2021, 2022, okay, and beyond. Why? Because the number of requests for global grants, big projects, is escalating every year. Why? Because they're so effective. They're sustainable, they're supportable, the funding, you know, they're monitored, they're checked, and they're going well. What is happening to the giving level?
Staying the same.
It's staying flat, okay? So you got more people that want to do good, and you have the same amount of money. So you have the choice of either staying static and doing it the way you did, okay? In which case you have to do less projects. You have to tell some people no. Or you learn how to distribute the money a little thinner. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, well, previously, and I don't want to confuse people, and I've learned to listen to enough presentations that this can be confusing, so bear with me. Presently today, if you give cash, you got a 50 cents on the dollar match. If you give DDF, which is District Designated Funds, you get 1-to-1 match, okay? That made this program and this presentation very simple because the numbers always stay consistent. July 1, that is changing. There is no cash match. Okay? So if you've got a $30,000 project and you give $5,000 in cash, you don't get matched. Okay? Also, the DDF match is now 80% instead of 100%. Okay? That's why these numbers are going to be a little wonky. So follow with me. Now, why is that happening? One, because there are a significant number of districts across Rotary International that have very large sums of DDF, District Designated Funds, in a store, basically stored on account. Now, what's the problem with that? There's a philosophical issue.
It's not being used.
It's not being used. If I'm going to appeal to you as a Rotarian and say, please give your money because it does good in the world, it provides fresh water, it helps fight polio, it helps mothers and children, it helps build local economies, on and on, the environment, which is starting to, you expect that money to be what? Used. Okay? So, in their wisdom, and I agree with it, the trustees of the Rotary Foundation made these adjustments. Okay? So is everybody with me so far? All right. So how does it work going forward for a global grant? All right. We've got a $40,000 project. Okay? This $40,000 project, and actually the project that I'm describing is one that District 5830 is sponsoring this coming Rotary year, except it's going to be about 2.5 times this amount. I'm just using these numbers to help illustrate the point. But we're going to do a $40,000 project, okay? So our club, or our district in this case, is going to give $5,000. Now, before we get too far off, where does this money come from? Where do these clubs get this cash?
Us.
Say again? Members, yeah. You pull out your wallet. You pull out your money clip. You pull out your checkbook, right? That's one way. What else? Fundraisers. Spaghetti supper. Or whatever else. What else? There's another way. This is Tom DeWitt's field.
Other people's money.
Thank you. that I will remember him as long as he lives. One, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And you think about that. In Rotary, you go back and you look at the leadership of Rotary, locally, internationally. I mean, we've had some very, very strong leaders. So that's really true. Think about it in your personal life or your professional life. You know, relationships, you know, maybe in your church life. Certainly that's true. The other one is other people's money. Who are some other people in your community, our communities, that we could potentially approach to see if they were interested in supporting the good works that we do? Foundations, sure. You know, maybe there are people that are not in your club who, for lack of a better term, have very deep pockets and are looking for something to do good. But you've got to be able to sell them on the what? The why. Value of the project. And that's the key. If it's going to be a global grant, that Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation say, yes, go forward with this, you can rest pretty assured that it is a worthwhile project. Again, the Charity Navigator deal. You know, they investigate this stuff. Rotary is not one of those institutions where 80, 90% is used for administrative costs and 10%. It's totally the other way. It's in the low 90s is used for goodwill and good projects, and the only little bit is used for the administration of the overall thing. And so when you go and talk to those people, the challenge you sometimes have, though, is to do what? Go talk to them. And all I can tell you is they can only say no. You know. So let's go back to our $40,000 project. We threw $5,000 into it. Okay, $5,000 in the project too. Actually, it's a little net less because of the 80% instead of 100% match. So actually, this is only $4,900. And if you haven't figured out yet, each one of my little bags is $5,000. All right, so we got that. The district uses $1,950 in DDF. Okay, so we come in here. 1,950 is close to what?
2,000.
19,500 is close to 20,000. There we go. So 4. All right. So what happens next? Where's the match come from? Right? It comes from the World Fund. So they look at that. The match is 15,600. Okay. So 5, 10, 15. So if I look at this, Lee, help me count. 5, 10,
15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40.
Very good. $40,000 project. Okay? Now, again, the white bags, y'all are like Baptists, y'all are all sitting in the back. You can pull your binoculars out. We started with 20. We gave 5 more. We gave a little less than 5. Okay? We've done a $10,000 project, and we've done a $40,000 project. So right now, we're in for less than 30, and we've done 50,000. Okay? How does that work, folks? How does that work? Magic. Magic. I in my own goodwill, can only do so much. If I take Lee and the 5 of us, we can maybe do a little more. I take us collectively. You know, some person gives 20, another person gives 200, another person gives 2,000. It doesn't matter. But when you pile it all together, our impact does what? It grows, and it grows. And you throw that across the Rotary world, it's amazing what we can accomplish. So can we do a bigger project?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right. We're going to do a $140,000 project. Okay. Woo. All right. And there's actually projects that are bigger than that. Our third project is going to be the hospital improvements and training for midwives for a children's and maternal health hospital in northern Guatemala for $140,000. You say, that's pretty interesting. Any of you with any reasonable memory will know that what happened 5 years ago. District 5830 did that as a global grant. That was the first global grant that I'm aware of that our district accomplished. Okay? Carol Greenwald from Longview was his club were the starters. That started about a dozen or more, or less actually, probably, Rotarians went to northern Guatemala to give a little pill called benazol to help with parasites because the children, all their growth was stunted. And they were trying to help eliminate that, and it worked. But what happened out of that was relationships were built. The people there, the medical professionals there, took the Rotarians and they saw the pitiful conditions of the hospital where women, pregnant women, were giving birth on the floor. They had 6 hours to do it, or out the door they went. Because of all the efforts to pull together and make this project happen, what do you think happened to the infant mortality rate? Guess how much? Somebody reasonable guess. 60%. 60%. I got a 17-month-old granddaughter. And when I was working on this, and she came over this morning she wants to go see the cows out the pasture. So anyway, but when I looked at her and I thought about that, and I thought about mothers and fathers and grandparents looking and potentially looking at kids like that, that appeals to me. That inspires me. So how are we going to get this project done? How much was it worth? $140,000. So our district, or our clubs, are going to throw in $20,000 in cash. Okay? All right? We're also going to throw in, global grant. What do we say? Let's say we're going to throw in $15,000 in DDF. Okay? So right now, 20 and 15, I got $35,000. And you're sitting there going, that's a long way from 140. Yeah. Right? So how do we make it work? Here's the magic. And this is a result twofold. This is the Tom DeWitt deal. This is other people's money. And where does that happen? Well, it happens because people like Lee, Tom, myself, but also leaders in our district that interact with other districts, friendships are built, and we have opportunity basically to pick up the phone or send an email and ask them for available DDF, other people's money, okay? Lee will attest to this, and Tom would if he was here. On July 1, what happened, Lee? What happened to your email? Did you start getting email from people asking for DDF?
Oh, the first year? Yes.
As your years go?
Yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
At 12:01.
Yeah, at 12:01. I got to start popping through.
Request for money.
From all over the world. Some of the projects are great, some, but you have to cycle through and whatever. We also, and because of that, we give to a lot of these. You've got your global scholars that we've supported, other districts that we've supported theirs. And so we get on the phone and we call them. All right, if my numbers are correct, and I spend a lot of time on my calculator trying to figure this out, we need total 6,700. So I'm going to just say 65,000 in DDF. We've got 15. So whoever's in charge of this project will call their friends. We'll call districts. I've got numbers that I can call today. So we get 10 from one. We get 5 from another. 10 from another. 5 from another. 10 from another. 10 from another. I think my numbers are right. So
We'll believe that you just did that.
there's 65,000 in DDF. Yes.
And part of that is the district where the project is, they have to put into this.
They do. No
So
place.
that's part of that other district's money.
Generally, because global grants, and I didn't say this earlier, I need to make that clarification, they have to be international. So the District 5830, South Tyler Rotary Club, Marshall Rotary Club, we can't do a global grant in the United States. It has to be outside. But one of those could do one here, okay? Generally, the experience is they don't put in a lot, but they do have to have some skin in the game. So thank you, Lee. I appreciate you bringing that up. So right now, we've got our DDF. So what happens then? Yes, Bill?
Yeah, quick question. Is that money come from also like foundations, businesses? Like
This This doesn't, the DDF doesn't, but this certainly could. The money, the white ones are local raised money.
Okay.
This, okay? So if your radio station had a foundation, I'll use that as an example, right? And they said, hey, you know, we want to do some goodwill. We'll give $2,500. You can do that. Hospitals, you know, whoever. So we got to get our match. Well, how much is our match? Well, again, if my math is correct, we've got, I'm going to make sure I'm right here, 53,350. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. All right, so let's go back and let's look. Let's look. 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120, 125, 130, 135, 140. Here's the magic though, folks. 3 years ago, you gave what? 20. First project, 5. Second project, 5. So 20, 30, 20 more, you put in 50. $10,000 project, $40,000 project, so that's 50 and 140. So for $50,000, actually a little less, you've done $190,000 in projects. Some local, some international. That's the magic of the foundation. Question? Yes.
What is the total assets of the International Foundation?
I got asked that the other day. I would have to go back and verify this, but it's between 2 and 3 billion. And that's polio money. That's all of those monies that are sitting there. Yes.
You know, I appreciate what you said today, but I think we need to concentrate on making membership aware of the project that we're trying to accomplish.
I agree 100%.
So, I don't know that we have one going on now. We still have this recommended Guatemala project working.
Oh, that hospital project has spawned at least 5 additional smaller projects. And not only that, we've got a 6th one. We're hoping to, because all those babies that are being born and they're staying alive in a building that doesn't have air conditioning. So they got pictures of mothers that are fanning their babies at 100-degree temperature. So what do they want to do? They want to air condition the building. And so I had a conversation with one of our PDGs, and we were talking about it. I think for less than $10,000 we can do that. Well, think about it. It's South Tyler, and again, I'm just speculating. If you gave 1,000, Marshall gave 1,000, Longview, Gregton, I could name 10 clubs right now. If we all gave $1,000, I could probably find 10 individuals to give $1,000 to come with you. And we all did that. Those kids would now, because can you imagine, we've got a lot of mothers in here. Can you imagine having a baby and having to take care of it at 100-degree temperature? But your point is excellent. If we want to attract new members, we've got to show them the good that we're doing in the world. We've got to show them the way that their commitment, the money that you give, is going so much further. I mean, it's like coupons going to the grocery store. You know, you're stretching those dollars, and collectively we can do great, great things. I know time.
Any other questions real quick for Ted?
Yes, Bill.
I was curious about the Bill Gates relationship with Rotary Foundation. Still have a relationship with that family?
Yep, it's still in place as of today, or as of last Friday. We're still at 1 in Afghanistan, 1 in Pakistan. It's polio cases. His match is still there. You know, I know personal life that they're going through. My understanding and everything that's been communicated is their foundation is still going, and they're going to work together to work it. That goes through 2025.
His dad was Rotary.
His dad was Rotary, and his dad, prior to his death, was very much in the management of that whole thing. You know, a lot of people will ask this question, is, you know, we're down to 2. Why don't we, I mean, what's the deal? Well, I mean, why do we got to get to 0? You know, and there's a video, I showed it when I was district governor. You were here then, you saw it. But if we stop today, if we stop vaccinating today, in 10 years, anybody guess how many cases of polio we have every year? Over 200,000. Over 200,000. Well, 35 years ago, we only had 385,000 cases. So we'd be over 50% back to where we go. You've climbed almost to the top of the hill, and there are those that say, oh, go ahead and stop. But the reality is, how many years of 0 do you have to have for something to be eradicated? 3. All right? And so for all those, and I think they have to vaccinate kids 3 to 5 years. So, you know, they're vaccinating, I think, about 2.5 million kids a year. That sounds about right. I think that's right. So all those vaccinations got to happen. And, you know, face it, not many of them are in the Western world. They're in places that are hard to get to. So, guess who's also saying?
So glad that Mr. White's with us today. His son Blake interviewed with us. I'm privileged to interview Blake for the Global Scholarship. And to use your props, we took half the money from the World Fund. We didn't take it. We offered a global scholarship to Blake to go to King's College in London, England. It was almost $50,000. Okay, so he applied. Our district put up $25,000. We went over here and got some of these little bags and brought them in. Brought $25,000 over from the World Fund, and that made his scholarship possible for his master's degree. So that's another one of the type of projects that becomes a global grant. Rob.
Ask his dad, put that result, and where's Blake now?
Yes, where's Blake now? Please update.
Yeah, Blake is working for something called the Defense Intelligence Agency. And he's in Virginia, but what he's doing is working with weapons of mass destruction, finding and reducing them, not increasing them. But his degree was in conflict resolution and mediation of those type of things. So he is working for the Department of Defense, reducing that.
Which is a Rotary area of focus. Since we got confirmation on the extension of the matching points, I also can announce, and I failed to announce a while ago, if anybody steps up between now and then, between now and the end of June 20th?
June 20th.
Okay, if those 13 people I called out or anybody else can donate at least $100, I've found an anonymous donor that will match that again. So not only will you get a 1-for-1 match, you'll get an extra 100 points thrown in as extra points toward that Paul Harris level.
Thank you, Lee. A couple things, Ted's already drawn our number for us. Everybody, get your little blue tickets out. The last 4 numbers are 5, 8, 4, 6. Yay! 5, 8, 4, 6. Right on.
See Tom right there.
Ted, before you walk off. So, he's got the cards up here. So, part of the reason that this happens is we've got a lot of folks out there who are very generous in their giving to the Rotary Foundation. And you'll note that we don't invoice you guys to participate with this. We ask you to support the Rotary Foundation. There's a lot of clubs out there who actually send you an invoice and say, you need to pay this much to the Rotary Foundation. But you have folks like Ted who are very generous. And about a year and a half ago, we had a silent auction at our foundation dinner. And I made some wine glasses. Do you remember what the final bid on the wine glasses was? I think it was like $300. And Jack won the right? So, well, how do you have your instead?
Oh, how kind. Thank you so much.
Rotary wine glasses.
Love those, thank you. Appreciate that. Go to good news.
That I want my back.
Okay.
You know, he's done a great job of showing us how our money is used. So that's why we stand up in front of you guys and ask you to consider donating. I mentioned this a couple meetings ago or several meetings ago. It's not a requirement that you donate to the Rotary Foundation, but as a member of Rotary, you should want to donate to the Rotary Foundation, and whatever level is good for you. If it's $25 a year, that's great. If you love more, if it's $100 a year, if it's $1,000 a year for the Paul Repair Society. We know not everybody can do that, but that's why we get up here. We do these matching point campaigns just to get you fired up about donating a little bit of money towards it. But it's for good. It's all for good. So we're going to wrap up with a couple of quick things. No reminder, no meeting next Monday. We've got Memorial Day holiday, and I will honestly tell you guys, I want to use the word, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm so damn excited. I get to see my family for the first time in a year and a half. I leave on Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to that. I see my mom, my dad, my sister, so I have not seen them since 2019. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to thank our guests for coming out to play. We did receive your application for membership, so thank you for that. Tara, Bonnie, and Cole, thank you for coming out. We appreciate you guys being here. We hope that you heard something about Rotary that makes you interested in coming back to our next meeting, but not next Monday, because we're not here. Ted, would you mind leading us on the 4-way test?
Please. And if I didn't clarify something, you have a question, I'll be here for a few minutes, so please join me in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is true. Second, third, fourth,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
and fifth,